All right, team, we are back with the Ask Maddie show today. We are going to have an amazing show today, and by your guys' questions, it looks like you guys want to see some technical analysis by Maddie here. So Maddie's going to deliver. We're going to get into it right now, discussing Gala and Energy Web tokens, some cryptos that I don't think we've spoken publicly about in a while. Also, some XRP-like cryptos and some other questions you guys have. This is the Ask Maddie show. Maddie, before we get into the show for today, I think it's very important to tell the team about Crypto Charge.
Absolutely. So, guys, we come from a crypto education platform called cryptocharge.com. What we essentially really focus on there is, like I said, education. We're not, a get-rich-quick company. We put out 500 trade ideas a week company. We're really more focused on bringing you guys updates Monday through Friday, covering the charts on macro levels, showing you guys areas of interest, talking you guys through fundamentals of projects. Once a week, we have a macro update where we talk about inflation and the Federal Reserve and, interest rates and all the different things that can affect our trades. Even if you're not in crypto, if you're in the stock market, definitely very helpful information. We also have other resources on the website like the consistent investor strategy, covering our just general thesis to help you guys kind of get started with that, technical analysis, 4-part little section there for you guys to check out, the coin library. We give you guys entries, exits, full analysis on a lot of coins, even breaking down like the different support and resistance levels, why these moving averages are important. We try to make it easy for you guys, and we tie that all together with the Discord where you guys can join in, ask questions, get real-time updates. And you guys can get all of that for $49 a month or $49 for the year. If you use code YouTube, that also comes with a 30-day free trial. If you guys drop the ball and you do not put code YouTube, you will pay $1,000 a year or $99 a month, and you will not get a free trial. So do yourself a favor, get 30 days free, code YouTube on checkout. Really, guys, there's no risk to it. You guys decide day 29, you're like, hey, it's not for me. Thanks for the free trial. Shoot us an email. We'll get you taken care of.
Love that, Maddie. Okay, are you ready to get into some of the questions for today?
Let's do it.
Benjamin says, what XRP-like crypto is still in a good buying zone?
Sure. And this is a good question. So before we get into maybe the option that I like the most, let's just take a quick look at the XRP chart, just so you guys can understand why this question is even being asked. And it's a good question. So, I think that XRP obviously has higher to go. I haven't sold my XRP yet. I'm still looking for my full trading plan to be taken out here. And I think that definitely most of my trading plan is very reasonable. I don't think I'm really shooting for the stars here. And you look at XRP and we look at the 2017 high here, right? And we can use different ranges in here, and you'll have different people who use different Fibonacci's and stuff. You technically have the first 1.618 here around 525. So if you wanted to do some sort of trim, you could do a trim there. But we're looking at like 8 to 13, then maybe 21 to 25. We have a variety of different Fib clusters that support 21 to 25. As kind of like that final take profit for us is kind of where we'd like to exit minus our long-term hold. So what we always want to do is, one, look at the fact where we are structurally. So really, I think the downside risk for XRP is close to like a 45% downside risk because $1.35 to $1.40 really should have been satiated. I think it's very lofty. We did get a pullback down to like, $1.83, which is a good decline, but really just not like rebalanced enough in my opinion. We look at the risk to reward up into that 1.618. It's a little over a 2x from current market. And then all the way up into like that $13 mark would be roughly a 4.5x, which again, I'm not saying is a bad return at all. That's fantastic. You're going to be outpacing a lot of other investment ideas. However, when we look at other ideas that are also like very sound, we look at the overall like structural quality of some of these setups here. I think Algorand is probably one of the best blue chips that you guys can consider out there right now. So there's obviously other ideas that you guys can look at too. But if we were to kind of put it on par with not only just, from like a good risk reward standpoint, but also kind of looking at a payment oriented solution, something that's very cheap, very high TPS, lots of great adoption. Algorand has several small islands that they're building out CBDCs for, as well as kind of like lots of demonstrations where you can have like a 2,500 person payroll and pay them all for like 55 cents using the Algorand network. So there's lots of great use cases here. But let's talk about the actual risk reward and why this is a better setup than XRP right now, right? If you guys had listened up and you guys have been averaging at XRP at 50 cents, you guys wouldn't have to even be worrying about that trade. When we look at the structural rebalancing that's happened here in Algorand, so again, also why I really just don't care about some of these new lows getting poked on certain assets, because you guys can see the deviation here on Algorand in that bear market, scaring a lot of traders out. And then we saw a nice reversal. You saw the confirmation here in March that the downtrend was over. We came back for a second test here, saw that second double bottom, or that double bottom that come in here, also kind of coincides with that 2020 wick. So very, very strong support. We look at kind of what happened here as well. We've had just fantastic rebalancing opportunities here on the Algorand chart. So there's obviously a current level would be great to reclaim. But this is what I like to see when I look for a good structural opportunity. So we also have good risk reward here. I look at, for example, the imbalance that got left behind a little bit higher here on Algorand. So let's even talk about, before we get to an all-time high, Algorand from current market up into the 76-cent mark, which would be the bottom of the balance, be around 160% move. So that kind of outpaces our expectation of XRP up to that, technically the 1.618, and roughly a 3x move up into that top of imbalance there. Now, let's get rid of our imbalances and let's go with a Fibonacci range here. We're still below the 236. That's excellent, right? That's a really good macro DCA opportunity. Obviously, if we kind of push back over, like, let's say even like the 40-cent mark, I wouldn't say the Algorand becomes as lucrative an opportunity. We look at current market though. We look at the current market to the 1.618, almost a 13x up into the 4.236, maybe even a 35x. I've also done the math on market cap here. It's not an egregious market cap that would have to be reached for Algorand. Again, we reached 250 or so in that previous cycle. So better risk reward, better structural opportunity, still great fundamentals like XRP has.
Sophie says, any thoughts on Gala?
Sure. So we'll also take a look at the Gala chart here. I'm going to preface what we're about to talk about with kind of like my Illuvium trade, which is the trade I'm probably getting my butt kicked on the most right now. When we get into like some niche verticals, right, within crypto, and especially ones that are not front and center. So like right now, AI is very front and center for the crypto industry right now. AI agents, you guys are seeing, all kinds of different, variations of that pop up. And that's kind of where the focus is right now, minus the meme coin bonanza. But let's talk about utility. I have a very, very strong feeling that the gaming sector will have a very nice rally. The metaverse sector will have a very nice rally at some point this cycle. Short term, though, we may not see the immediate moves that we're looking for, right? So I'm still holding my ILV trade. I'm not selling, I'm not adding to it. I'm just holding on to it right now. But let's take a look at Gala. And I think Gala is offering good risk to reward here. So again, guys, if you guys are looking at a chart and you're like, just grabbing the top one there, you might be doing yourself a big disservice because you're not grabbing all the price history. If you guys are in TradingView and you guys see the option here where you get the TradingView logo and it says crypto, what that is an aggregated chart. So it's going to take as much price history as it possibly can find from multiple exchanges and compile all the price history. If you are missing 6, 8, 12 months of price history, you are missing other areas of support and resistance that may have given you a big clue of where we actually might find real value zones, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look here at the Gala chart though. We've actually already built this out previously, but let's build it out again together. And I think that when I look at some of these larger accumulation opportunities, they are the more frustrating trades because they just really have been able to break those ranges. And I've also seen lots of assets like Chainlink that were in these exact types of like high compression zones for 900, 1100 days, and then just kind of see that breakout backtest and then the higher highs and higher lows. And again, just because it happened to be the rotation for Link, you just don't know when Gala is going to come. So again, guys, try not to time the market, try not to do a lot of bouncing around because if you really do like the asset, you guys should like that asset at a lower price and a higher price. When we look at the range here though, right, it's a very big range because really the bottom of the range comes in close to like 1.5 cents, top of the range like 6 to 7 cents. So this is a very big range. Bottom to top is like a 450% range from bottom to top for this area here. If we divide this pivot zone in half, because there is a pivot zone here, we can say like 2.9 is the middle of that pivot zone. So if we can reclaim 2.9, we have a lot of headroom, even from a short-term perspective, to come challenge like that 7-cent mark, which is about 145% move from current market. So don't dislike that. On Gala, we also have imbalances higher. Again, if you guys are curious about what we're talking about with imbalances, they're essentially just areas that market makers manipulated before, and they're likely to manipulate again. We go over example of this Monday through Friday. Definitely something you guys want to get locked into. 18 cents would be a good short-term area of interest to look at. So underneath this 3-cent mark is an easy DCA. You guys could basically just DCA under 3, maybe cut the DCA down above 3 or just turn it off altogether. But let's say we even have an average of 2.9 or 3 and we see a move towards that imbalance. It's going to be around a 530% move, which is fantastic. Obviously a lot better than some of the other risk to rewards out there. Now again, smaller cap, gaming sector, make sure you take those get things into account and never just look at risk to reward. Swing high, swing low in here. 236 puts us around that 20-cent mark, coincides with that imbalance that we just talked about. So that's the second layer of confluence there. And then we look from current market all the way up into the 1.618. That could be potentially a 56x move. Now it is huge, right? So again, when you start to kind of see some of these disparities between the trim point still being a very good risk to reward ratio and then some of the new highs based on the Fibonacci's being really, really big, it's a good idea to consider taking a little bit at that trim point when you're able to take a 5 or 6x off the table and then maybe look to either reallocate or look to buy on a higher low. So structurally, good opportunity, but again, volatility with small caps in the gaming sector just isn't the main point of focus right now in the crypto market.
Pan says, ask Maddie, please. I am thinking about taking all my profits around end of April this year, sell in May, vacations, everybody counting on November picks, so probably it will end sooner. If you would try to predict when, in your opinion, bull market will end this time, Greetings from Poland, guys. You're great.
Well, first of all, appreciate the kind words and glad to hear we've got support from all around the world. Love to see that you guys are tuning in from other places other than America. You know,
But stupid question.
and we got to do a shit sandwich here, right? You got to start with the compliment. We'll end with something else. So, no, and I understand that everyone wants to try to wrap their head around a timeline, right? Like it's a very normal human thing to want to like do your best to guess how long it's going to take. When you are a student of the markets and when you study charts on a regular basis and you look at them on daily and weekly levels, and then you also study markets outside of crypto, because I think people try to put crypto in this very special category, and it is more volatile than the rest of the assets out there. And I would say that they also react more violently to any sort of macro news, whether it's positive or negative, than other risk on markets out there. However, when we even peel back, and let's say we're looking at the Dow Jones, which has over 100 years of price history, it's a great market for you guys to go back and study if you guys are kind of just interested in how long a bull market can last. A lot of people like to pin up previously the bull market timing to be the 4-year cycle paired with the Bitcoin halving, right? And we said when the Bitcoin halving happens, right, that's going to create supply shock and that's going to kick off the bull run. We saw that deviated from in this most recent cycle where Bitcoin actually poked a new all-time high several months ahead of the halving, right? So that kind of like took that a general theory and we're like, okay, yeah, supply shock over time is a factor. Yes, the less Bitcoin that comes onto onto the market as time goes on and those rewards are less, that could of course create a little bit less volatility in the Bitcoin price. However, I truly believe that crypto runs with the rest of the risk on market, and the risk on market generally responds to the economic environment. So if you have a economic environment where the economy is in a bad spot, or the Fed is tightening rates aggressively, they're not being accommodative, the labor market's in a bad spot, right? Like all of these things will affect the risk on market in a very negative way. We also have other factors that are completely outside of even like our immediate economy, and you look at things like international conflict. And even this tariff situation that we've had now, we cannot account for these things. They are things that will happen at multiple times through the cycle, even if we're still in a bull cycle, and we can't predict those things. So those are the X factors that will derail 99.9% of the timelines that we do have. So we can look to a lot of clues to help us kind of like figure out how long previous bull markets have lasted. I also want you guys to look at how young this market is, and it's kind of foolish to try to time a market, especially this young of a market, when you only have 2.5-ish cycles to really lean on, right? And then we really look at the last 2 cycles, right? And those were the last really like more meaningful cycles. So at the end of the day, I would say that like we can see in the Dow Jones even like several years of bull run. It all just depends on what's happening with the economic environment as well as kind of just internationally, and do the markets feel certain about people investing in tech. When people are uncertain, they are not going to invest in Bitcoin or XRP or digital assets. They're going to flock to safety plays. They're going to flock to dollar. They're going to flock to metals. They're going to flock to a variety of other investment vehicles that don't carry the same volatility to protect capital. So you can't predict it, guys. I guess that's really the short answer here. You guys can look at 90% of the predictions out there. Most of them are wrong. If you put out 100 predictions, you're going to be right at some point. But really, at the end of the day, guys, it's all about the charts. It's all about the pricing, and try to invest with the worst case scenario, right? What if this takes 4 years for the bull run to fully play out? I don't think that's going to be the case, but always invest based on that scenario.
Adam says, updated opinion on Energy Web token.
Sure. So EWT has really gotten its teeth kicked in, and I'm not quite sure why. I like the concept of the project a lot. We'll go ahead and take a look at the chart here together, guys. It was something I was invested in previously. I ended up basically taking a break even. I think I was maybe in a tiny bit of profit, but basically break even. So we basically account for fees and everything else. Just kind of was a small bag for me, and I wanted to consolidate my portfolio per my consistent investor strategy. Wanted to focus on other things. With Energy Web Token, the whole purpose here was basically to be able to do tokenized energy credits, which in the grand scheme, and I've worked in solar for many years, so I'm very aware of like the economy of credits and energy credits and kind of how these companies work as a whole, is going to be something that is going to have a lot of hurdles along the way. Now, I do think it's going to be something that we eventually do see, where instead of us having like these true ups with our energy companies, every 2 years or every year, if you have solar, we're going to be able to essentially receive credits at some point and be able to sell those back to companies or sell them to other people. But that's probably a long way off. Now, when we're looking at here, the short-term technical setup here, right? We lost a lot of key support levels in here and really have not been able to make those meaningful moves higher. So this was a key support level in here that really should have been maintained. So I would have really liked to see this. Whoops, sorry about that, team. I would have really liked to see this band between $1.61 and $2.27 hold. This was a crucial support zone. You guys can see even back here, they had a little bit of contention here. And we're on the 4-day chart here, guys. So each of these candles is worth 4 days of price action. Is a very macro chart. We really need to get back above that level. In short term, even just minor resistance around $1.04 does need to be reclaimed. So I would say short term, you are buying into a little bit of a downtrend here. We don't have a lot of confirmation that this downtrend is over. Although it sounds counterintuitive, if you saw a pop back over like $1.60, kind of in this $2 region, then you set a limit back towards $1.60, that would probably put you in a slightly safer spot where you're like, okay, I haven't seen the higher highs and higher lows yet, but I know that we're not making lower lows and lower highs anymore because we popped back over some of these local highs that were providing, previously big support levels. So I'm personally not an energy web token. I'm not looking to get into this position anytime soon here. But just from a technical perspective, that's kind of how I'd potentially approach it to maybe reduce a little bit of risk, but still get a good entry.
Well, good round out, Maddie. That was very good getting through all the charts there. This chart even looks like Casper to me. You got charts that are just kind of up like XRP and H bar. You have cryptos that are kind of sitting flat, kind of like the Gala chart, and then you have cryptos that are setting new lows or trying to contest for new lows here. And so, team, you got to be strategic. You can only do that at Crypto Charge. So make sure you guys check us out over there. I don't know if you gathered, but I was sick, so I just shut up and didn't say a whole lot. But please say a little prayer for me. I'm trying to get through the day. But thank you guys so much for joining today. I think you guys left a lot of good questions and a lot of good insight into cryptos you should probably potentially be buying, today, going through the charts Maddie just went through. Maddie, I had one more question for you. If you had to buy one of these cryptos today, you looked at Gala, Energy Web, you look at the XRP, you looked at the Algo. Which one of these would be your most likely buy right now?
Um, if I had to rank them out, I mean, I'm a little biased because I brought the trade idea for which one would be kind of like a good XRP competitor. Risk to reward wise, you probably going to get a little bit more out of Gala. It definitely has more upside. However, if I'm going to take everything into account, I'm going to look at fundamentals, I'm going to look at structural integrity, I'm going to look at momentum. I'm probably going to lean more towards the Algorand, but Gala would be a close second. So I'd probably go Algo, Gala, and then Energy Web if I had to rank them 1 through 3.
Thanks for that, Maddie. All right, team, we are done for today. Hopefully, you got some valuable information here. If you did, make sure you leave a like, and we will be back next week. So, see you guys then. Bye.